Yeah, look, tell me what's the vibes, what's the mood? Yeah, I just hit a Mikey for the juice. Yeah, ain't no capping, I'ma tell the truth. I've been winning for so long, it's hard to lose. Yeah, deal, be my source, Christian like Dior. Yeah, I can't stop.
Tell anybody I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
He is crackhead in the town.
Peanut butter and crackling.
He kicked his habit back in the joint. Now he's out on coins.
Here I come!
He's finally home. He's Tyrone.
Oh, Tyrone.
There you go, folks. My hero, your hero, a big role model of the black community these days, Tyrone Biggins himself. Start the show off as usual, because only here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast do we actually care about things like humor and actually entertaining people, as opposed to just kicking it on some weak shit. So, anyways, as always, since this is the main Wednesday edition of the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, I am here with my esteemed veteran YouTuber co-host, Cyberneticshark himself. In person, with his really awesome Miss Marvel green screen effect going on and whatnot. And Cyber, I am sad to say that I'm not sure what happened on your end, but my Miss Marvel t-shirts didn't come through.
Yours didn't?
No, they sent me an email and told me that they had to cancel the order because they didn't have them in stock or something like that.
I got mine.
Yeah, I didn't get mine. I wish I would have. I would have wore it tonight. It's all right. I'll reorder them again. So either way. Oh, there we go, baby. I love it. It looks awesome. Hey, you know what? One thing I got to say about that Miss Marvel logo, it's great. It looks good on a shirt and everything and whatnot. It does. It's a good logo. Anyways, folks, on the panel this evening with Cyberneticshark, since I am, of course, moderating tonight, is I guess, third-time guest on the Bleeding Edge, Justin Hurst, who is a longtime Marvel comic book collector, a current Marvel comic book collector, a experienced guest on other podcasts and whatnot and everything, and a friend of mine, and eventually, I'm sure, probably ending up becoming a regular on the Bleeding Edge. What's up, Justin?
How you doing?
You know what? I'm great.
What up?
I'm noticing some interesting audio feedback that's going on, but I'm going to play with the audio and see if I can fix that. We got Nate the Great here. I'm not sure. There's no way to target it. We got Nate the Great here. Nate, of course, is a creator at the Minds of Creativity Network that we were also a part of. He is the host of the With Great Power podcast. I cannot keep track of all the different shows that he's talking about wanting to do. He also is the owner and host of his YouTube channel, which, if I remember correctly, Nate, is called what? My content's so good, I don't even need a title.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's it.
My content's so great, I don't even need a title.
That's right. That is his YouTube channel. It's a fucking awesome name.
I just need comments.
That's right. And also, new to the show, we have Joe. Now, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and toss to you and let you go ahead and introduce yourself and whatnot and everything. It's just your first time on the show. And I don't have your bona fides. And please feel free to go ahead and mention the show that you're going to be starting up here soon.
Sure. So I'm not new to the podcast world. You might know me from the Monday Love podcast. We're on 3 seasons, 130 episodes of interviewing music talent from across the country. I've got the Dave and Joe versus the Multiverse of Badass that's getting ready to start like any day now. And then I got the Boss Dog show that is also starting around the same time. We're getting all the scheduling and all that worked into place. And I'm also a lead singer of a rock band called Hallville and toured the country. So a little bit of all kind of stuff.
There we go. And we are, of course, here to do a review of the Miss Marvel. Good to know. We're here to do a review of Miss Marvel episode 3. After that, we're going to wrap up the show with a segment that's going to be a Phase 5 preview, kind of a mini segment. I'm doing a Phase 5 preview. And then, as I was talking to my co-host Cyberneticshark today, I think probably down the road we're going to end up putting together like a legit full span, like long-term show where I'll put some actual time and effort into it and whatnot. And we'll really break Phase 5 down. Because there's a lot of interesting shit that's going to go down in Phase 5. And I'll be honest with you, I think that a lot of people that may be a little bit disappointed right now in the fandom with Marvel Studios are probably going to be a lot happier when we get to Phase 5 and we get some of the stuff that's going to come out. I do. I think when Fantastic Four comes out, that's going to be a game changer.
Game changer.
Yeah. I think that's definitely going to change the direction of, like, the whole direction of the MCU at that point. So they're very interesting to think about, but let's focus on Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel tonight for right now. So, essentially, in episode 3, coming off of the end of episode 2, we had Kamala meet Cameron's mom. They saved her from damage control, who are like essentially pursuing her. I guess because she's a gifted or whatever you want to call it, superpowered individual or whatever and whatnot. They seem to be hunting her for some reason. I cannot at this point. I'm not really sure accurately why or what they want with her and whatnot, or how they suddenly became in the business of doing that kind of stuff, but I'm sure probably by the end of the series we'll probably have more to work with that. We end up with her ending up actually meeting the clandestines, essentially, after an opening scene where we get a throwback, like a flashback, to what I believe is members of the clandestines finding the bangle. Essentially, I think in like Egypt. Where were they? Cyber. Pakistan.
I think they said India, right?
India.
Yeah.
Okay.
India.
Okay, so they were in India, yes, and they were in the 1940s. They had the bangle, one bangle they were able to get, and so we then flash back to, Miss Marvel, being introduced to the entire group of clandestines that they later on tell her have been called in the past, I guess, the Jinn, and essentially, Miss Marvel, it has it explained to her, like, the entire history of the bangle, the fact that it's the key, I guess, essentially to some type of interdimensional type of transportation, or like ability to to interdimensionally travel, and essentially the Jinn want to go, I guess, back to their dimension, if I understand correctly. You have to pardon me, folks, if I rely on Cyber here and there and whatnot. But I'll be honest with you, these Disney Plus shows go by so quickly that sometimes I don't understand some of the details. I don't get. But anyways, folks, starting off with the panel, and going to you, Cyber, at the bat. What did you think of the whole flashback scene, and then going into the whole introduction of the Jinn? The clandestines as a part of the series and whatnot, and actually essentially explaining for the first time in some way where these powers come from.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting intro. I liked that whole sequence. I thought it was really well done. And I thought that it was interesting that, they finally kind of give us this like kind of more information on what's going on. They kind of just went right into it versus like kind of like starting off saying, oh, and then we're going to talk about it. They actually they started the episode right off with it, which I thought was different for Marvel anyways, for one of these Disney Plus series, which I thought was kind of inventive. But I don't know if anybody else noticed it, but during that scene, did anybody notice when they showed the overhead looking down at the bottom of the ground, that it showed the 10 rings.
Yes, I saw that too.
Yes.
The 10 rings. Why are the 10 rings there? I'm wondering. So I think that's another little tidbit that Disney is throwing out at us. But I don't know. I wanted to point that out. I thought that was a really cool little thing, that was the 10 rings that they were standing on, which I thought was really fantastic. But overall, that whole sequence was really fun. The explaining of who, the Clandestines and the Jinn and all that kind of stuff was really interesting as well. And I liked how kind of, they seem to be so, in tune with, wanting to be nice to Kamala and everything and stuff like that, which we'll find later down the road what actually it's all about. But I like how they made it like, oh, this is like a history of your life and stuff like that, versus, what the comic books basically were going with, which being a dormant inhuman ability when the Terran gas happened. So I thought it was kind of interesting that they decided to go that route. But overall, I liked the whole beginning scene. I thought it was really fun.
Joe.
Yes.
Same question.
I liked it. I like how they tried to tie in some history when the British invaded India and Pakistan. So they're trying to, attach it to real life. And then, the 10 rings, once I seen that, I was like, oh. And another thing I noticed, what was the blue hand? Who is the blue hand that they pulled the bangle off of? So I thought that whole sequence was really well made. I think the whole show has done really good at dropping stories, and I think that flashback was necessary to see, what these new people are and the Jinn and their background, and I thought it was really great. I really loved it.
Nate.
I'm sorry, let's just solve the comments. So I was kind of wondering about who that blue hand was, even though I just saw it for a second. And yes, to answer your question, I did, however, look at the 10 rings, and I noticed that as well, which I'm wondering it has to do some sort of connection, probably with the end post-credit scene where Bruce Banner's Hulk and Brie Larson's Captain Marvel ended up appearing and talking a little bit about the 10 rings. I'm wondering, hey, what if they might make an appearance in this upcoming Marvel's film?
Okay. Most definitely. All right, Justin.
It drove me crazy. It drove me absolutely crazy. I guess I'm so used to the comic book storyline that throwing one of Thor's villains in to explain these new powers was a bit of a reach for me. But honestly, it was fun. It was entertaining, and I was a little disappointed with how unstylized this episode was, as opposed to the last two. The last two were cool and stylish and poppy, and this one was a lot more dry. The storytelling was a lot more dry. It was a lot more direct. So, but not that I didn't enjoy it, though. I did enjoy it, and I'm interested to see where they take this Jinn thing and how they diverge from her inhuman powers.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point to make, Justin. I think that it's interesting that we're finally getting an opportunity to have some kind of explanation or something to work with in terms of what these powers or what their origin is and how they want to, where they want to take the story in terms of, we've been wondering, I guess, almost, behind the scenes, how are they going to explain all this? How's this all going to make sense? Now, in terms of myself personally, as I'm checking out these ads or whatever here in the comment section that sound really interesting to me. Naked, HD, XYZ, delete Tinder. We have sex cheaper. Okay, hey, you know what? I mean, sex cheaper is always good. So, I may actually have to check one of those links out after the end of the show and see what's up with that shit. You know what I mean? Might be cool. But, anyways, besides that, we'll worry about that later. Got to focus on the important shit here. I think that they could have done worse as far as like like an origin story, I guess, right? Than the Jinn or whatever, it could have been fucking like what's his name from Star Wars again, like we were talking about earlier before in the studio. Jar Jar Binks could have been like the how she got her powers or whatever through Jar Jar in some way or whatever, Now that would have been freaking interesting.
This whole Star Wars theory about
I'm
him
telling
becoming a Sith Lord.
Yeah, that would have been something else if at the end of episode 2 of Miss Marvel, it was Jar Jar in the car rescuing her and shit.
For it.
Miss Marvel versus Jar Jar.
Yeah, I can just imagine it. So
Jar Jar smoker.
They should really throw Jar Jar into the MCU real quick and whatnot to see what comes out of that. You know what I'm saying? Change things up. Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, seriously. Howard the Duck is like a pimp compared to freaking Jar Jar, man. But I will tell you this though, Jar Jar's acting ability in those Star Wars films was actually like Oscar worthy compared to Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. So just to be clear, even Jar Jar could not have saved Captain Marvel. I think the only reason the Captain Marvel made over $1 billion is because Marvel Studios paid like $800 million of it. They're on their own. That's where it came up. That's what it came up with. But anyways, so moving on. Yes, the 10 rings. That's, you know what, Cyber, honestly, I don't know what to say about the 10 rings deal. Where the hell the 10 rings aspect comes into the story, I do not get at this point. I have no theories. I don't. But it's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, it would be interesting if they freaking decided to actually somehow insert what's her name? Shang-Chi's sister, into this whole deal in some way. You know what I mean? Have her be involved.
Well, she is supposed to be getting her own TV series too.
Oh, she is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's supposed to be getting her own TV series. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Is it going to be her? Is it going to be her own series, or is it going to be a 10 Rings series?
It's going to be a 10 Rings series because she's now the leader of the 10 Rings after her father died. But that's pretty much what the premise of it is it's about the rebuilding of the 10 Rings.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. And it's driving me crazy. I'm trying to remember what the hell her name is.
My only theory about the 10 Rings is that it has some sort of that little thing has some sort of connection with the end credit scene in that movie. That's my only theory.
Zhu Zheling.
I don't even think it's considered a theory.
What's that? What is that, Nate? That are you talking about the end credit scene of Shang-Chi?
End credit scene of Shang-Chi. It has something to do with this. I just can't figure out what it is.
Once he got those on, it started sending out a beacon to something. So,
yeah, that beacon was actually the geographic location of the Swinger BDSM event that I have planned for later this year. That's what that was actually about, just to be clear. That's going to be an interesting addition to Phase 4.
Invite.
I don't know what you would call that going in that direction. How you would describe that with Phase 4, but either way, it would definitely be interesting. Not Disney Plus approved though. So then we get a scene after that, of course, where she's with Bruno, who is like the man in this episode. I'm loving Bruno. He's becoming more and more popular to me, to the point where he may end up actually winning the Monica Rambeau Award by the end of the series. It's possible. Either way, so we get a scene with her and Bruno, and essentially she talks to him about the Dijin, and Cameron being one of them, and then being clandestines, and what they're trying to do, how they want her help, to go back to their dimension or whatever. He name drops Eric Selvig at one point, which was a nice little, connective tissue or whatever, I guess, to the episode and whatnot. Nice to see. I don't. Well, that happens, Nate. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, no, honestly, Nate, that may have something to do with some of the playing around that I've been doing with Facebook Gaming Live and stuff like that and whatnot, and the MCU's Bleeding Edge Facebook page. But we can talk about that later. No, so either way, moving on from that, I'd rather interlink into the next scene because I feel like it's better to just talk about this whole section. We then get Damage Control showing up to actually search the mosque that the family attends, the Islamic mosque, and essentially they want to search the premises for, Light Girl or whatever the hell I forget what they're calling her.
Nightlight.
Nightlight, and
Night Monkey. Like Night Monkey.
Yes, essentially.
And it sounds like a 5-year-old made that.
So, and basically, what's her name? If I remember the name of the character, Kamala's friend, Nakia, steps in and whatnot and everything, and and tells the damage control people that they have no search warrant or whatever and whatnot, or no grounds to search the mosque and everything and whatnot, and damage control goes away. Now, if you don't have a lot to give us on this, I don't blame you guys. But going to the panel, start with you, Joe. Anything you took out of, I guess, the scene with Bruno and Kamala where they get together in her room and whatnot, and then the damage control deal, going to try to search for the mosque?
Mm-hmm. I think they're trying to put in place how much damage control is going to be in there. I think that was their whole purpose of that scene. As far as the show with that, I think they're still establishing the sexual connection, frustration between Camilla and Bruno. That's best friends, but he loves her. He wants to be there. MJ, Peter Parker, kind of, you got that love connection. So I think that whole scene was kind of trying to flux on the connection between them two and trying to put a place for the damage control in the show and in the MCU for the matter. So that's about what I got for that.
All right, Nate, anything to give us on that?
Yeah, sorry, I did unmute the mic and I pressed the wrong button.
That's okay.
So I think that, I kind of think how they ended that scene was kind of awesome. Can't really come in and she's all, you can't really come in without a warrant and all this kinds of stuff. Voting board representative, that kind of stuff. And the very last line that the leader of the mosque, and I keep thinking his name, next time take off your shoes. Well, I have two things to say about that. One, that was funny because of the whole religious culture and all that. And two, I have a really good feeling that he might know that Kamala is the superhero that they're talking about.
Okay. Most definitely. Justin, anything to add?
No, I think Nate's right. I think that I think he's figured out that she's the one. I mean, it's not like she was hidden that much, but damage control. This damage control is so vastly different from the damage control in the comics. It makes me wonder if this is not some kind of Hydra built damage control. You know,
something weird like that. Yeah,
some more nefarious, entity created this damage control to try to contain supers. Because the damage control in the comics and even in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when they referenced damage control, they always made it sound like it was just a regular government entity, not something that was so aggressive, but I think that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, Cyberneticshark.
So, this little scene is a very intuitive scene, I think. I think that whole little conversation that, Kamala and Bruno have together there is it really kind of gives you a good sign of what their relationship is like. Mm-hmm. And kind of how, out of all the people, she goes to him, with the secrets and all this kind of stuff because she trusts him the most. And I think that whole scene kind of gives you a little bit idea of kind of their relationship, and how it's going to progress and grow as, as the series goes on, or, as maybe seasons go on, mm-hmm. or just the relationship in general in the MCU. But then, they have that great, chemistry. She, he's going to help her and all this stuff. He finally tells her about, going to Caltech and all that kind of stuff. And, they kind of have that interesting moment. And then all of a sudden when it goes to the next scene, it kind of all blends very well together and works really well, I thought. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was overall decent scenes and a good portion to that episode.
You're muted, Jeff.
There we go. Sorry about that. I apologize. Anyways, yeah, most definitely. I agree with you on that, Cyber. Again, before I move on to the next actual section of the episode, I think I'm going to go ahead and throw in the Ms. Marvel trailer really quick and get it out of the way and whatnot. It's a good trailer. I enjoy watching it and whatnot. So, here we go.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I get it.
You get what?
High school.
Kamala.
Another adventure shirt. Cute.
She thinks I'm some kind of weirdo.
You are a weirdo.
Boys. Excuse me?
Yeah.
You're kind of on my shirt.
Sorry.
But you're staring out the window in your little fantasy land. Kamala, hey! Already? Really? Come on, like...
Do I have to figure out my whole future before lunch, or is there, like... Maybe they're right. I spend too much time in fantasy land.
That is not you.
It's not really the brown girls from Jersey City who save the world. That's the fantasy, too.
Did something happen to you?
No, why? Did you hear something?
Kamala? What does it feel like?
Cosmic. I always thought I wanted this kind of life, but I never imagined any of this.
Do you know what you are?
I'm a superhero.
That trailer is so well shot, and I absolutely just, for the life of me, I cannot get enough of that final scene where you see her on top of that light post and everything and whatnot. It's literally like epic, almost. Yeah. You know, it's just a great shot. And I'm not sure if that comes from the comics or not, or something like that.
It's from
okay.
3.
Yeah. Yes, and you know what? I just want to mention real quick, folks, that Cyber and I were talking before the show and whatnot. Well, Cyber was talking to me about the fact that we really need to make an effort on here to get into the actual Ms. Marvel comic book run that this series is based on. And I think that when we come in to do the episode 4 review next Wednesday, we probably will have a segment prepared at that point to go ahead and dig right into the comic and whatnot and everything and make some connections. So look forward to that. Come back for that and whatnot too. You know,
Expect Wolverine.
Yes, and who knows? Maybe that will also be, maybe that will also be the week I can actually unveil some like a brief clip of my new reaction video I'm going to do, so where I smoke crack on YouTube. Yeah, as a reaction video. You know, because we're always looking to do unique shit here on the Bleeding Edge, so why not, right? Nate, you got to go, brother.
Yeah, but I want to see one more prediction that I have.
Okay.
Even though we haven't gotten to this part yet, I think that Kamala's mother might also be Jen. Because it is part of that line. Oh, and Kamala's brother as well.
And maybe she has a penis, too.
I think her mom, I don't know if I agree if that is Jen, but I think she knows, because, like, if you notice how she reacts when she's seen the bangle, like, she was like, oh, that needs to get put up. You know what? Matter of fact, Camilla, you need to come with me, go to the store, and we're going to run these errands, and you need to go put this up so you ain't got nothing to do with it. So I think she knows of either something about it or that it does have something to do with their family.
Okay. All right.
Okay, Nate.
Hey,
that was a really clean release there with Nate. Sorry, Nate.
I do want to say something else that we spoke about earlier. We were talking about, I think Justin touched on it. The part that this episode was kind of dry. that one thing I noticed, it didn't have all that extra animation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every episode you had crazy animation stuff on the back walls and the backdrops, and this one didn't have that.
Well, I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now what would have lubricated this episode, but I'm going to keep that for a private conversation between me and you, Joe.
This show is sponsored by KY.
That's right. And I'll save my my recent story on how the time I recently spent with the Tuscans. You know, working on my translation research for when I become a translator for the Sand People. Later on, you know, I'm working on that. That's gonna be my next career, my next side hustle. Gonna be hanging out on Tatooine and shit for a minute and whatnot.
Hand gestures.
Yep. It'll be interesting. And of course, I will make sure that I get some footage of that so I can play on the Bleeding Edge. It will definitely be interesting. Me with the Sand People has got to be interesting. I'm telling you right now. So moving on into the show, into the episode and whatnot and everything. Again, I think it'll be very interesting to see in episode 4 if maybe they give us a little bit more to work with damage control and kind of maybe like, you know, who's running that operation maybe, you know, who's behind the scenes, you know, like who's in charge maybe, and kind of maybe if there's some interconnectivity there, like with damage control, you know, with some other aspect of the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the past or something, or...
Well, I know that one officer was in No Way Home, right? The lead. I'm not sure exactly his role. I believe he was in No Way Home when they had Spider-Man in the lockup.
Okay, good point. Yeah, so I mean, who knows? Well, you know, I mean, in No Way Home, wasn't he playing a cop?
He was. I think he was in kind of trying to get some information from Spider-Man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, hey, no, listen, Joe, great job, good eye. Way to point that out. That's definitely very important and very poignant. You know what I mean? Especially at a time right now when we have been having conversations here on the Bleeding Edge, both during the show and behind the scenes. Cyber and I, with some of our guests and whatnot here and there, about how there's been a lack of connectivity at times with some of these properties that Marvel's been putting out. That some of it's almost been devoid of that like connectivity that we became so used to and whatnot and everything, and really got I guess spoiled with and everything and whatnot, like in the first couple phases of the MCU. And again, that is another conversation for another time. But I just want to emphasize really quick and whatnot, everything to all of you out there in the fandom that at the end of the day, there is no reason at all to be concerned about Marvel Studios or Kevin Feige and what they're going to be and what they're going to do overall with the MCU. They're going to do okay, and overall, I have a feeling that that they'll end up delivering for us fans. At the end of the day, so I think they're going to win more than they lose. I'll put it to you that way.
I agree. So far, so good. I mean, with random hiccups, but
yep. Now, how long they can completely dominate the entire fucking film industry the way they are and whatnot, I have no idea how long that can go on. But hey, we'll see.
It's that frozen Walt Disney in the vault.
Yeah,
handling all of it.
It's interesting. It's an interesting time, right? For cinema, for the movie, for the movie industry, it really is the direction it's gone in. But back to this episode. So, essentially, we then end up getting a quick scene where it's Kamala again, with Nakia, and they're talking about, the deal with damage control showing up at the mosque. And look, at this point, Kamala hears about damage control looking for her at the mosque. Then there's like a family gathering, I guess, at Kamala's house. And, Kamala has a deep convo, with the rabbi. And Bruno gives her a mask, essentially, which I guess is going to end up rounding out her outfit down the road. Or did Bruno give her a whole new outfit?
It just looked like a mask to me.
Okay, just a mask. So, then basically we get like a short scene where Bruno talks to a dude at his job about the Djinn and about like what would actually transpire. If there was like...
That was Kamala's dad.
Yeah.
So was that Kamala's dad? Okay, yeah. He actually explains, about how that I guess this type of interdimensional travel or whatnot deal could potentially be dangerous. And we end up getting, Bruno warning Kamala about the Djinn, wanting, to perform whatever, this interdimensional deal is all about with her and with the bangle. Bruno then also explains that he's going to go to Caltech, essentially, to this program or whatever that they talked about before with the guidance counselor, and warns Kamala about the interdimensional stuff with it being dangerous and whatnot. So, at that point, panel, also, just on a side note, I start to notice in this episode that there is obviously like some kind of like romantic connection between Bruno and Kamala, like either growing or already was there, and I didn't notice it. But this episode, I definitely noticed it. There's like a tension there, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out overall if they don't end up like boyfriend and girlfriend by the end of the series. But go to you, Justin. That covering that whole span of those, kind of short scenes that I just threw out there, right? Which were all very much like 2, 3 minute, 4 minute scenes. Was there anything in any of that you felt like, was important to you or was pivotal at all or informative in any way with the episode?
I think that was just base storytelling.
Okay. Yes.
I am interested to see where this doctor, this professor that Bruno was reading his study about the Djinn. I'm interested to see where he fits in to all this, because if he knows, then he's got to know more than anyone else if he's actually telling the right story. That interested me a lot.
Well, that's actually interesting. You know what? I myself was not able to comprehend or understand what is the familial connection between Kamala Khan's family or whatever and whatnot and the Djinn.
So her grandmother was there with
the flashback. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the flashback with the Djinn. And I think that's so. Apparently, she is a Djinn.
Oh.
So I'm assuming with everyone there together,
But
and
did
them
she
looking.
know they were Jinn? Was she getting manipulated as well?
Is she human?
Who? The grandmother?
The grandmother, yeah.
I think that she was getting puppeteered, like they're trying to puppeteer Camellia. I could be completely wrong. I mean, at this point we don't know, but because I think every time Camilla's sitting there trying to do things, her grandmother keeps trying to reach out to her.
But wait a minute, if the grandmother's the Jinn, then why didn't she stay youthful or whatever, like over the time?
We
don't know where she's at.
That's the thing. They said she told Kamala. She told Kamala that she was in. I forgot the city.
Karachi.
Thank you. Yeah, she said you have to come to Karachi.
That was I'm thinking great grandmother that was with them in the 40s when they were getting the bangle. Is who I'm thinking of, because that was her great grandmother.
Oh,
the grandmother is the daughter of the great grandmother that was there getting the bangle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so she has information and she wants to let her know, and she wants her to come to this place to get the information.
Gotcha.
I think
because in the previous 2 episodes, whenever they're referring to the person that disappeared, it's the great grandmother that they're referring to, and that's who we get to see in the flashback.
Yep. And when she's using her powers, you get that light, and there's grandmother, at least what looked like in the flashback, is trying to reach out to her to probably warn her, hey, these guys are going to fuck you up.
Right. I got to take better notes.
Well, really quick, before I go to Cyberneticshark here, I just want to play a quick advertisement of a real positive video clip out there for all you folks.
I'll take it. Someone will appreciate it. You ever go on, boss? Hey, and I'll give you these flowers for free.
Hey, man, ain't no motherfucking bitch, man. Fuck wrong with you, man.
What you mean, yo?
Idiot, huh? Fuck wrong with you, man.
You just destroyed the
Think I'm
flowers.
stopped or something? Fucking bitch. Shit, man. Fuck
Yo, they're just flowers.
Fuck out of here, man. Ain't no bitch.
They're just flowers, bro. I promise you, they're just flowers.
Man, you soft ass motherfucker. Bet you won't come from behind that glass.
What you mean? I'm just saying, they're flowers. There's nothing wrong with them.
What the fuck wrong with you, man?
Why you getting so pressed over flowers?
I paid for motherfucking flowers, man. I paid for my fucking Snickers, man. Fuck wrong with you?
Alright. It's just a flower.
Nah, bro.
You don't want it? Nah. Okay. Change. Here's a bag. You have a blessed day, my brother. Hey, and you can have these flowers. Because I'm feeling generous today.
Some flowers?
Yeah.
What the fuck I need some flowers for?
What you need some flowers for?
Yeah.
I'm just feeling good today. I'm giving my customers flowers.
You think I'm a bitch or something, bro? I don't need no fucking flowers, bro.
What you mean, bro?
I don't need no fucking flowers, bro. I'm good, bro.
Why you so mad about just some flowers?
Bro, I'm going home to my female, bro. I don't need no fucking flowers, bro.
Oh, so you think...
Get some bullshit ass flowers, bro.
Alright. My bad, bro. My bad, bro.
Yeah, you good.
But you look like you're having a bad day.
That's right, folks. Obviously, giving people those flowers at that store was not positive for them. They did not enjoy it, the experience and whatnot and everything, The one guy was so offended by the flowers, he was ready to fight the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. You know what I mean? Like, yo, that is one masculine dude right there, man. When you give him some goddamn flowers, he's trying to fight a motherfucker over it. You know what I'm saying? That is some really being secure with your masculinity right there. And that's my hero right there, man. But anyways, very interesting, very informative, an educational video clip there. Very instructional in terms of politeness, and candor, and whatnot. I certainly personally, was impressed by how well received the customers were by those flowers. It was really interesting. But either way, I don't know, Cyber, what you would think if the clerk gave you some flowers at the gas station and whatnot. Maybe you'd like it. Could be wrong. But I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Hey, there's nothing wrong with some free flowers. You know what I'm saying? You could give them to a lady. You know what I mean? Like, here you go.
That's what I do. I
Yeah.
give it to my girl. Be like, I was
Yeah.
thinking about you, baby.
For real, dude. You know what I'm saying? The guy trying to hook dudes up. But anyway, Cyber. Going back to those scenes that we were talking about before the video clip there. I know that there wasn't really that much meat to work with out of all that. But was there anything that you noticed or anything and whatnot, or that stood out to you and whatnot in those scenes?
Well, let me think. I mean, pretty much that whole, like, what Justin said earlier, it was kind of just like kind of storytelling in those, pretty much in those scenes there. And it was kind of like filler to kind of get you to, the next section of the episode, really, to kind of just catch you kind of up on some things going on and stuff like that. And I thought all of them were really well and cohesively done. I enjoyed them. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I didn't find anything super intuitive about anything about it, but I definitely think that, maybe down the line, who knows, maybe there was a line somebody said or something like that might pop up later on. You never know. But overall, I thought it was a nice little good, progress of the episode, and definitely was enjoyable. And I enjoyed the camaraderie between Bruno and Kamala and their scene together, and just kind of like her interaction with the priest guy too as well. I thought was really interactive as well.
Yeah, and you know what? Side question, you guys. What about the relevance of like her relationship with the family? As we're about to go into a scene right here where essentially Kamala has a conversation with her mother, brief one, before the marriage goes down. We end up into that part of the episode. What about the direction, I guess, or the evolution of this dynamic with her role with her family, and this connection and this dichotomy that we have going on, where that they're clearly trying to give us with the series, right? In the episodes where there is a connection or a relevance and that's a connection, that's involving her role in the family, right? And and finding a balance, I guess, as a person, to be more of a part of her family, but yet also being independent and do her own thing, and daydream and do her own thing and whatnot, right? That's connected to her becoming Miss Marvel, and what her Miss Marvel character eventually is going to be about, I guess, in terms of her mission statement, or what she's going to fight for, essentially. Because as of right now, at this point in the series, we've only seen her essentially, use her powers on demand when she had to. You know what I mean? There's not been much preparing or planning really going into it when it's going on. Other than when they did that one training session with her and Bruno and whatnot. At this point in the series, we really haven't gotten a moment yet where, for one thing, where she's actually been in her real costume, her full costume and whatnot and everything, and actually kind of acknowledged herself as Miss Marvel, right? With some type of ethos, behind it. You know what I mean? Besides, her love for Captain Marvel. So, going back to you, Cyber, what do you think about that whole dichotomy and the fact that they're putting that out there in the series and whatnot as such an important aspect?
I mean, I definitely feel that, Disney, Marvel are taking kind of a good stepping stone towards making her officially become Miss Marvel. I definitely know by the end of the series she will be Miss Marvel, because she's going to be considered Miss Marvel in, the Marvels itself. So we know that's coming. But I think that they're really trying to kind of play out as much of it as can to show her from, the little, the young teen girl she was to basically becoming this superhero, basically. So I think that the whole series so far in the first 3 episodes is taking it not super slow, but it's at the same time, it's still kind of a slow pace. But I feel like in the next 3 episodes, it's just all of a sudden going to boom, 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 and she's going to be Miss Marvel. So, I mean, going back to, like you saying, we really haven't seen her much of the suit. We got to see her in the suit when she saved that boy. We got to see her in the suit when, She is dreaming of going to the Avenger Con, and when she's at the Avenger Con, we kind of got to see her in that. I mean, and then you talk about the kind of the planning of her, like except for the whole kind of dichotomy of her learning about the powers in the second episode. I definitely think that in this episode, we saw her really get to start to be able to use the powers, like she can freely use them. Like she knows what she's doing now with them. It's not like she's trialing and error. So I feel we've seen that kind of slow progression now. And I think that it's building towards a really great representation, and it's gonna be fun to see just where she goes.
Yeah. I'd like to try to chime in with this as well, because I think one huge factor, and kind of going back to the original question about the family, I think that's going to be one of the major climaxes of the final series, because I think there's little hints, like the pastor or the priest. I'm not sure exactly his title with their religion, but there's little hidden hints that people kind of know what's going on. But there's this huge, she wants to keep she wants to still be the safe little girl, but they kind of already know. So I think part of the climax is as she's climbing out, like Cybernetics said, that she's going to climb out as this teenage girl and turn into a young woman that's also a superhero. But I think that part of that climax of the series is going to be like, oh, they already know, and they're going to be on her side this time, instead of her feeling like everybody's against her. Everybody's going to be rooting her on, and they're going to be kind of part of the team as well, at least from the family aspect of the thing. So that's my opinion on it.
Is it Imam or Imam? The name of the, is it? Yeah.
Simon.
So honestly, I think this is just generic coming of age storytelling. I don't think that they have to set up different antagonists in her story to make the story progress. So I think that the family thing it plays such a big role in Muslim culture.
Yep.
And they wanted to show you that by the whole wedding scene, and
I agree.
Her brother's wife or her brother's fiance asking, is this all your family?
Mm-hmm.
I think that they were just wanting to make sure that you understood how important family was to her and the religion, and just so that we understood a cultural thing.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think there's a huge thing to be grasped from this, but I love it. I think that reminders that we all love family is a great thing to, is a great thing to tell, especially coming out of lockdown, coming out of COVID. It's a big thing. This is very important that we're able to do these things again.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's as much as they're trying to push. Now, showing the evil part of family, where the jinn were saying, hey, you can be a part of our family. I think that was a bit more dark. I think I like that. I liked them showing both sides of this. Yeah. Go ahead.
And looking at the jinn, if you kind of research some of their background, they're kind of looked at like they're actually, I mean, if the storyline does this or not, but they're kind of off of a genie kind of story that, you know, they're supposedly able to grant wishes on top of that. And it's kind of where their background's supposed to go. So it'd be interesting to see how those connect. See where it's kind of hard because sometimes Disney MCU will take a turn that's not in the comics, and you go research and stuff, and it's like it doesn't happen. But the Jinn were like demonic genies.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how much of the genie aspect that they kind of push into that. You know, I don't know.
The Muslim boogeyman.
Yeah. And somehow I think this is still going to tie into Moon Knight. There's a lot of I don't know. I feel like there's this kind of background god thing going on. And when you got Thor and you got the god butcher getting ready to come through, I don't know. I feel like that's how they're going to start kind of tying everything in. So I feel like there's going to
Justin had mentioned to me recently that in the comics they're actually going to be teaming up Moon Knight with Ms. Marvel.
Yes. So
Yeah,
there's a one
I've seen
shot
that.
they're about to put out that is Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel. And that has to be Disney saying, you know, hey, look at this. You know, how
Sure.
would you like this to be on the screen?
Yeah, because it'll probably end up like the chemistry will be like this.
Hot D.
You know, it'll be a little bit. That'll be very emblematic of like the relationship
Oh man.
between Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel. Cyber, you glad I brought that clip back?
Oh yes, I love it so much.
That's one of Cyber's favorites. Of course, you know, supporting women and equality and everything and whatnot on the bleeding edge every day. Obviously, with that clip. No, I think that you guys all make good points. I think that honestly, I do not know how logically it's going to make sense or how it's going to work out in the comics when they throw Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel together, to be honest with you. Even though I have not read the Ms. Marvel comic book, I don't know. Based on what I know about the character, I don't see how that's a good fit, personally. But hey, you never know.
She freaks out every time she sees a new person on her superhero list. You know, in Ms. Marvel, in the comic book, the first one she meets is Wolverine, and she freaks out. She was like, "Oh my God, it's Wolverine!" You know, she wants to take a selfie with him. That's great. You know, well, I'll wait until the comic book episode.
I'll tell you this right now. At the mid-season mark of the series of Ms. Marvel, right now, I'd have to say that I feel like the series has performed legitimately, probably almost equally at the same level in terms of quality of the episodes as Moon Knight. I don't think Moon Knight was really any better, to tell you the truth, than what we've gotten from Ms. Marvel so far. Episode 3 of Ms. Marvel, what we're about to get into, the marriage scene and the fight scene there and the action scenes and shit and whatnot was awesome. It really was. It was really cool. Well done. Well choreographed and whatnot and everything, you know. The Jinn villains were cool. You know, and honestly, no. Justin, honestly, to tell you the truth, let me be realistic. Overall, the Moon Knight series, I find about as quality as what I've seen in Ms. Marvel so far. At episode 2 of Moon Knight, I thought everything was going great.
Yeah.
And then it just went downhill from there. So,
I agree.
You know, but then again, that's another conversation. So we get into the wedding part of the episode. And of course, so there's some really interesting and neat, like, dancing going on and whatnot and everything. And Kamala dances at one point and everything. And, you know, we get to see Bruno dance. And he's got some definite skills. Actually, Bruno, like, gives off a vibe to me like he could seriously max some hoes if he wanted to tell you the truth. But, you know, either way, you know, hopefully he'll do well over in California, you know. We'll have to see. But, you know, we end up in the wedding scene when we get past the dancing and whatnot and the positive stuff. we get Cameron popping up. Excuse me. Before or during the wedding scene, we get like a side scene where we get Cameron and Najma talking about this interdimensional jazz that they need Kamala and the bangle for, and we get like this sinister kind of vibe from her, with Cameron, where she's kind of like, we're gonna do whatever the hell we got to do at this point, to get this damn bangle and do what we got to do with our interdimensional shit. We're not playing anymore. We tried being nice. Essentially, we then get into Brown Jovi being the name of the band at the wedding, which is really cool.
That was awesome.
Yep. And I really started to notice like the crush tension between Bruno and Kamala during like some of the scenes in the wedding. And right when Kamala asked Bruno if he'll dance with her, there was like a real tension there. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, I'm trying to be very limited here, like with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to get, too provocative here, taking into consideration that Kamala's 16 or whatever, So, either way, Cameron pops up and actually vocally warns Kamala about like his mom or whatever, and the djinn and whatnot, and the fact that this whole deal's all dangerous potentially, and could be really bad for Kamala potentially, and then the djinn show up, and now they're hunting Kamala, almost like damage control, almost, but like more aggressively. And there's some badasses in the djinn at this point, they're they're ready to beat ass and everything and whatnot. They're punching people. I don't want to say that they had like superpowers, but they definitely like knew what they were doing. Like there were some badasses there on the squad. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so you have these demonic genies, and they're just fighting like a couple, bouncers. I mean, they had a little bit extra skill, but you would think for demonic immortal beings, they'd be scrapping a little bit better.
Well, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I mean, honestly, they have been a lot, they have managed to, stay youthful for, decades and everything and whatnot and all that. You know what I'm saying? And you tell me, Cyber, Justin, Joe, can anyone explain, what was the explanation? I can't remember it exactly, for why they're able to maintain their youth.
I don't think they said.
I don't think they say. I think that's just part of the jinns. I think they're immortal beings, period. I think that's part of their thing, is they're immortals.
Okay. And what I was wondering too was, I wonder what happens if you actually combine the two bangles. Like if Kamala was to get both of them.
I was wondering that same thing.
Yeah, I wonder what that happens.
The second one.
Yeah. And is that going to become some type of pursuit of hers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where she's going to be going on some kind of search to get that second bangle?
Is
I guess
part of the 10 rings.
Yeah,
Do they combine?
Does that complete her powers or something like that? You know what I mean? And
or is the wearer evil?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Or what is this dimension like that the djinn are from? What do they got going on over there? You know what I'm saying? What's that all about? After we just got done with the multiverse of madness and everything, now we're back to interdimensional shit again. I did not expect that from the Ms. Marvel series. I got to be honest with you. I did not anticipate there to be any interdimensional type activity going down in the series. And I'll be honest with you, it makes you wonder a little bit, if maybe, Marvel Studios even maybe worries at times about overdoing it in terms of the direction they went with her origin story with her powers and the bangle and the djinn and everything and whatnot. If they had actually brought the Inhumans into the spotlight and made them a part of the MCU legitimately. And
they did. With Black Bolt?
They did, yes, they did. But if they actually threw them into the series and whatnot and legitimized them and did the Tarragon Mist deal and all that shit and everything with Black Bolt, would that have been too much, maybe? in a
Man,
way.
I still hope they do. I still hope they bring in Medusa. At least Medusa.
Well, honestly, having never watched the Inhuman show, I don't know how bad it was.
It was horrible.
I have made it 2 episodes, and I love this shit even when it's bad.
It was horrible.
Yeah, for what
Don't do it to yourself.
I seriously couldn't get off 2 episodes, but I think all of the I think everything is tying into. I think this is all part of Phase 4. I think the multiverse, them traveling through different dimensions. I think they're all doing that because they're just setting up Kang the Conqueror coming, and probably Galactus at the end of it. But I think this is all tying into the Secret Wars and Kang coming and all of that. So I think they're just setting up all the pawns.
Well, Joe, don't forget, Kang the Conqueror is not an interdimensional character. He's a timeline. He jumps time. You know what I mean? Like that's
in the multiverse, though, correct? I mean, he could jump into any timeline.
Oh yeah,
in the universe. So
yeah,
he could hop around anywhere and be anywhere. That's why he knows
he
everything
does.
that's happening.
Yes, you're right. He does. No, he does jump. He is an interdimensional character. He's also like a time jumper, a time traveler.
Yeah.
Now, was the Inhuman show the one that had the actor from True Blood?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I don't either.
The guy.
I want to say I've heard that before, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't remember anyone in the Immortals being in True Blood.
Did you say Immortals or Inhumans?
Oh, Inhumans. I'm sorry.
Okay, I know. I was just trying to look up real
Maybe
quick.
I'm thinking of a different series because I'm thinking of the guy Bill from True Blood. I know he was in a series that had to do with something with Marvel Comics. Yeah, he was
on Shield.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it had something to do with I'll look it up in just a minute. But okay, so basically going to the getting back to the episode. Essentially, the Djinn are hunting Kamala, and we get some really, really, really excellent action scenes that kind of like move from different aspects of the building that they're in with the wedding. The Djinn characters, there's essentially like I guess maybe 4 or 5 or 6 of them that are essentially attacking Kamala and like looking for Kamala. She's using her powers, in different ways than she has before, mostly in defensive form. You don't really see her doing much offense at all until later on in the action scenes. But essentially, she eventually ends up sharing a scene where I forget her name. I forget Cameron's mother's name again or whatever. But she essentially grabs the bangle and connects with it or whatever and whatnot, and that ends up creating this almost like interdimensional void or something, or like this almost other reality or something like that, or whatever that pops up that we've seen before with Kamala, with the bangle. We've actually experienced this before when Kamala had the vision of her great grandmother or whatever. I think it was in episode 2. Mm-hmm. Cyber, was that it? Yes. It was very similar to that. And we saw like some kind of train, as a part of it, which I didn't really know what that was about, to tell you the truth.
I don't think they said.
Yeah. And then essentially, before anything else could happen, Damage Control shows up. And they start arresting and grabbing all of the Djinn characters and whatnot and everything, who all of a sudden are not like demonic and powerful and everything, can just be arrested. And like don't even fight back. You know what I mean? After they, they're like they got tired, I guess. They need a break. And but before that, Kamala actually did one of her like super punches that like she does in the comics where she blew up her fist.
Yeah, first time.
Yeah, and it looked great. Very well done. Looked great and very comic book accurate. And good tie-in to the comics too, for to finally see her actually, doing something that actually does relate to her comic book powers, right? So Damage Control shows up, that saves Kamala. Bruno gets his ass beat real quick by one of the Dijin real quick and whatnot. He's all jacked up. He's a little, he's a little bitch basically. And at that point, going into that, Justin, what did you take out of that whole wedding scene and whatnot? What did you think of the action scenes? What did you think of Kamala using her powers again like that?
It was her using her offensive powers for the first time with the fist. I mean, as a comic book fan, I was, that was the first time in the series I was just like, yes. That got me excited. As far as the Jinn go, man, I was really underwhelmed with how quickly damage control took them down. They were just like thugs at that point. They weren't any kind of something special. Even though we see damage control shooting these, crazy weapons and stuff. I don't know. I was just underwhelmed. And kind of wondering where the new threat is going to come from. If they were taken down so quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right. Cyber?
What was the question again?
Your thoughts on the whole wedding scene, sir. The whole deal.
Okay. So that whole scene, I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed, especially a lot of people that love cultural things and love all that kind of cultural thing. I thought it was very interesting. I mean, in other films, I feel I've seen types of weddings like this and stuff like that. So it's not something new. It's been around, but I thought the whole sequence was really fun, really enjoyable. The dancing and all them having fun and all that kind of stuff. The older brother getting married and stuff like that. But then when they get to the action finally, and especially when they start playing John Bon Jovi song, that was amazing. That was awesome. I was cracking up because I was like, they're really playing a Bon Jovi song. I'm like, what? And, of course, right after showing that Brown Jovi, band that they supposedly had, that just was ultimately just super fun to get that action sequence going. And, Kamala showing off kind of like I was mentioning earlier, she's now starting to use the powers more like naturally. They're like, she knows how to use them. She's using them and she's doing it. And that's what this whole action sequence kind of gave us, especially that beginning, using it to kind of distract them to try to get away and stuff like that. And then that whole sequence where they're fighting in the area where the wedding took place. And she's like, does the punch and everything. That was really cool and really well done. And I really enjoyed that we got to see more of her using the power like that, like her really natural abilities that we know from the comic books, where she's very similar to Mr. Fantastic. And so that whole concept was fun. I was glad that they showed that, but I just really enjoyed the action there. I thought it was really well choreographed. I really enjoyed it. I thought the fight sequence was really handled well, and I really enjoyed seeing Kamala get in there and like get her some gins there and kick some butt. So I thought all that was really well done and really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind getting down with a couple of those Dijins too, you know what I'm saying? The female ones, you know what I mean? And see what's going on with them and whatnot. See what they got going down. Maybe they got some different, tricks and some different game and whatnot over there in the other dimension and shit, Who knows?
Why do you keep calling him Dijin? It's Jin.
Oh, okay, Jin, whatever, man.
He's silent.
I wanted to sound smart.
Okay.
So my here's my opinion on it. I thought the wedding was cool. I thought it was very well, like the diversity. I feel like this part of Miss Marvel has been great.
Diversity? What is this shit? What is this? Disney? Fucking Disney commercial?
But I again, just like Justin, I feel like I'm kind of the fight scenes I felt was well choreographed, but I feel like it was very underwhelming of, what is your power? What is the Jinn going to do? Because I feel like you're immortal genies and that they just get picked up by damage control. Like, come on, instead of like, oh hell no, and fuck them all up. They're just kind of crumble like a bunch of thugs that just got wrapped up and they can't do nothing. I feel like that part of the Jinn was very underwhelming. Like, what are you going to do now? Because you got a 16-year-old that's going to initially kick your ass because you guys really don't have anything to throw at her. She's still learning what she can do, but what they presented was really not shit. And
mega doo-doo. I'm sorry.
But I mean, I feel like that's I think it is showing that she's learning. At the beginning of the fight, it was just she's getting hit and her armor catches it, and she has a shield that catches it, and she's not doing anything. And then finally, she gets that punch out, and she's like, you can even see the cinematography there. Yeah, I'm starting to feel it. And that fist, she done fucked somebody up, and she swung and hit all four of them at the same time. So I feel like there was a good build up. I feel like the villains so far are going to be underwhelming unless they're going to all of a sudden turn into a werewolf and something, or I don't know. But right now they seem really weak. And, maybe the head lady, maybe they're not as powerful because they've been in this world too long. Maybe there's some kind of connection there. So maybe that's the secret. They're going to get a little taste of, like, maybe the transfer is going to happen where they're getting ready to go into their world. They get a little taste, and all of a sudden they pop up and like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, that weak ass effort that the Jinn displayed and whatnot with damage control is very similar to the vibe over at MCU Mondays that Chris hosts. Our buddy Chris over at Geek News Now Network. It's kind of like the vibe, the chemistry that he's got going on over the show. You know what I mean? And very connected tissue there. Good show, definitely.
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on, of course, we then end up essentially, we already talked about this already. We end up with Kamala going home and her parents wanting answers as to what the hell's going on, because obviously they know something's not right. And, she doesn't want to tell them. She thinks about it for a moment, but decides that she doesn't want to tell them. And we then get the call we already talked about, where Nani calls her and tells her come to Karachi. And when Kamala says, why do I go to Karachi? Nani says, I had the same dream as you, or whatever, essentially, if I remember correctly. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was not exactly sure what dream Nani was talking about, to tell you the truth. I wasn't. So if anybody in the panel would like to illuminate that for me, I'd love it.
Wasn't there a conversation between them, like at the end of episode?
I don't remember. I just don't remember. I don't remember Kamala having a dream. I just don't.
Well, I mean, she daydreams all the time.
Yes.
I think she was talking about the like when she's like that light she's seeing. I think she's kind of more talking towards that, and I think she's labeling it a dream because she doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, that ethereal plane or whatever type deal that keeps popping up and whatnot. Eventually, occasionally through the bangle.
Yeah, and I think she was trying to say it without saying, "Hey, I got this thing on, and I keep seeing my great grandmother." I don't think she realizes that's who she's seeing. I think she's trying to figure it out, and Nana or Nana or Baba or Doo-Doo, whatever, she's all there. She's like, hey, let's talk about this dream, and I think, because I think there's an underlining that the family there's still some sort of, they know what the fuck's up, at least a little bit, maybe not the whole thing, but a little taste of that bangle is why great grandma's gone. We put it up because we didn't want nobody else to get fucked up by it. We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about this chick.
I think Joe's right. I think he's absolutely correct. I think that the family knows more. The parents know more than they're telling. They know something about the history that was displayed in the flashback with the great grandmother and all that, and the relationship with the bangle. And they may not know about the Jinn and all that, like necessarily, as in they don't know them personally,
right?
But obviously, we already know that like the father is already aware of the Jinn, and so basically, we then get, I guess, things kind of close out with, I guess, Kamala realizing that she's got to go to Karachi, and of course, I was thinking, how interesting it would be if in episode 4 she actually tries to go to Karachi and ends up getting sold into sex slavery. Like it goes to the series goes in a different direction, and it goes into like this whole new like deal where it then morphs into like a quasi what was that one with Liam Neeson? Where
Taken.
It becomes like Taken, right? For the rest of the series, right? And Bruno's out there like hunting dudes to like get her out of the sex trade.
I say it now, Miss Marvel on OnlyFans.
Hey, you know what? The Bleeding Edge is going to have an OnlyFans soon. That she might as well have one too.
There you go.
Anyways, Cyber, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on the final scene there with Grandma and her wanting to go to Karachi and the shared dream or the shared vision or whatever and whatnot?
I liked how the episode ended. I enjoyed it. I liked that, finally the grandmother, finally said, I've been seeing what you've been seeing. I thought that was really clever, finally, that they gave that away, that the grandmother does know something. And that, it kind of leaves us on that kind of little bit of a cliffhanger there. Like, ooh, what's going to happen? And you're looking forward to it. So I really like how they ended the episode like that and give us that kind of that, like, ooh, I want to see the next episode badly. And I thought it was interesting, how she's like, how like she intuitively knew that to tell Kamal, I had the same dream as you and stuff like that. So I thought that was really clever and just really a great ending to this episode.
You're muted, Jeff.
I've really got to get to work. I've got to work on this whole muting thing there, Justin. Thank you. Joe, what are your thoughts on that final scene?
So okay, I think that was I think that is great storytelling. I think it lines up that we're going to find out more, because here's the thing: great grandma disappeared with the bangle. How do they have the bangle? Where is there any to me? Where the fuck, or is this the other bangle? Do we have half the bangle? Where great grandma disappeared, and then if that was the case, why didn't they just take the bangle from her body or wherever she went to? So maybe I think what she's going to find out is how she got the bangle back. Maybe there's a little more to that part of the story that they're going to lead into, that, well, we got this back. She disappeared, but somehow this was laying on the table next to a glass of milk after the fat dude delivered it and he drank the fucking milk. I don't know. Being real stupid with that. But I mean, like, how did we get the bangle back? So I think that's where the communication between Grandma and Camilla is going to be key in the next 2 episodes to lead into the final episode. I think that's going to be kind of a step progression, kind of watching how Disney does their films and how that the story grows. I think that Grandma is going to lead into more of the story about what happened. I think she knows a lot more than what anybody else does. And because like really everybody's like, well, great grandma was, they all said she did bad things and they don't talk about it. But why do they feel that way? Was the Jinn led information to him and said that she did bad stuff? Why do you feel that she was so bad towards the family, or she turned her back on the family? So I think that was a great way to lead into the next episode of where we got this, how much information Grandma knows, and maybe a little bit of what the family knows. Because I still think the mom knows a little bit more, and she really didn't want them to touch it. Because hell, maybe mom actually has a little bit of the power too, and she don't want her daughter to go through the shit. Because they did say he was Bruno said that when I scanned you, all this did was open up your inner superhero. So it's in their DNA somehow. So I think that's going to be a lead to the climax of the final episodes that this connects.
Well, if I ever had possession of the dangle or whatever, dongle or whatever the hell it is and whatnot, when I had my like ethereal visions and whatnot, it would be visions of like two women like having sex naked. You know what I mean? Like,
I can see it now, Jeff. You'd be putting it on the wrong limb. It's supposed to be on your wrist. What are you doing?
Hey, you know what? I don't think I would want to be working with something that actually could fit that that dongle. To be honest with you, I don't think that would work too well with the ladies. Just to be realistic. I don't think that'd be good, man. Anyways, so Justin, what are your final thoughts there on the that final scene?
I had more questions than answers at the end of the episode. Honestly, I don't know what to think. Disney has taken me down a route that I am unfamiliar with, and I think I'm just enjoying the ride.
Okay, that's great.
That.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's very short and to the point, which I appreciate. And honestly, truthfully, Justin, that's essentially what I felt like with it and whatnot, was really just like more questions, than they gave us really answers. And so essentially, that wraps up the episode. Unless anybody on the panel has any final thoughts on Ms. Marvel Episode 3, I'm going to go ahead and roll us into this Phase 5 preview segment we're going to do. Does anybody have anything else for the episode?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, as far as this next segment goes, Phase 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Cyberneticshark was kind enough to connect me with an article from the Collider and essentially highlighting Kevin Feige saying, well, the article itself from Collider says Kevin Feige teases MCU Phase 5 announcement coming soon. And I guess just to essentially summarize the article, we get Kevin Feige saying, as we're nearing the end of Phase 4, I think people will start to see where this next saga is going. Feige said in an exclusive with Total Film. Feige has a history of introducing the future of the MCU in big ways. While it remains unknown when exactly Phase 5 slate will be announced, Marvel is expected to have a presence at upcoming events such as Comic-Con this July and D23 Expo this September. It's understandable for fans to assume that these announcements are now right around the corner. We get Phase 4 began the integration of television as part of Marvel's overarching story with the debut of various series on Disney+, such as WandaVision. And then basically Kevin Feige then says, Feige himself, I think there have been many clues already that are at least apparent to me of where this whole saga is going. We'll be a little more direct about that in the coming months to set a plan so audience who want to see the bigger picture can see a tiny, tiny bit more of the roadmap. Which I think is very key because, again, Cyberneticshark and I have had conversations recently on the Bleeding Edge with our guests about the fact that some of our guests and some people in the fandom are really concerned and have questions about what the plan is overall with the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. What direction are they going? Where are things heading? And I want to say honestly that at the end of the day, it's possible that Doctor Strange 2 and the Multiverse of Madness did not pay off to the degree, I think, for most fans, what some might have anticipated that would have paid off in terms of more of a directional, reveal of kind of where things are going in the MCU. It wasn't as much of a radar or like a meter, I guess. It was more of like an individual entity in a way, or a wrap up of that trilogy. You know what I mean? And what I'm assuming is going to be probably Marvel's end with this obsession with the multiverse. Although you never know, it could pop right back up again in Phase 5. We'll see. Either way, as far as the rest of the article goes, outside any potential announcements by Feige, more details from Marvel's future are expected to be teased in upcoming projects this year, such as Thor: Love and Thunder, which is theaters on July 8th, of course, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, November 11th. Films for fans to look out for next year include Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 on May 5th, 2023, and The Marvels, which will include Ms. Marvel's film debut on July 28th, 2023. Other films with no set release include Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. Now, we of course actually discussed the whole official announcement of the Thunderbolts solo film. Eventually going to be coming out, which is very interesting. Very interesting twist and direction for Marvel to be going. What's that, Joe?
I feel like Deadpool's going to be part of the Thunderbolts in that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That's one of the. I believe that's one of the cast: Deadpool, Punisher, Red Hulk. Oh gosh!
In the comics, Deadpool is never in the Thunderbolts. I don't think.
I just seen, and it might, and I am not a hardcore comic. I look up the stuff after I see it. I seen a lineup where it was the Punisher, Deadpool, God bless it, the Red Hulk, which is the General Thunderbolt and all that shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. So there's a couple other, but I think there's been several different lineups with the Thunderbolt.
Oh yeah, there has. Yeah, very much just like the Midnight Suns and everything and whatnot. There's been multiple rosters with the Thunderbolts.
That's the one I want to say. The Midnight Suns. There's a lot leading into it. You're starting to get more supernatural and weird, things like that. And you got the Black Knight at the end of Eternals. You got Blade's voice, which Blade should be getting ready to be dropping here. At least getting more information about Blade.
Legit production starts next month.
So I think some of the arrangements will be heading towards, and I think it's going to also depend on how well each one of these characters do. If they'll end up going into a Midnight Suns, which, more vampires and werewolves and things like that with all the, I think it would be dope as shit if they did it right, depending on what level Disney allows it to go. But
well, hey, you know what? I got to give Joe a lot of credit here because that's a great connection to this Phase 5 preview. Because I'll be honest with you, what if we get the start or the formation of the Midnight Suns, it'll be in Phase 5. I believe, if I remember correctly, that, and I could be wrong, and you guys can correct me, is Blade not slated to end Phase 4?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not sure because they seem to kind of blur in on some of them.
Or is it actually going to be the start of Phase 5? That's an interesting question, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting question.
Yes,
because we still got to have the introduction of what Ghost Rider, Punisher, depending on where they're going with that. If they're going to use Punisher, I'm not sure. I know they keep hinting, or you never know which one of the threads are telling the truth.
So I gotta tell you. I was gonna say the only thing I'm getting confused about with these advertisements I'm seeing in the comment section about we have more cheap sex than Tinder and all that is that like what is the whole word? Why is the word cheap involved? Like how much more cheaper can you get than like how much I pay when I have sex with women? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not paying any fucking women money to have sex. What are you kidding me? They can pay me. As far as I'm concerned, I should be paid.
I would do it, but I'd be broke as shit.
Yeah. Just like that. There you go. But no, I think that's a great point that Joe makes because I do honestly think, of course, that the Blade film is going to end up essentially starting the direction of Marvel heading into what I call the Monsterverse, essentially, right? Like, again, that supernatural, side of the Marvel comic book universe, this universe where you have Werewolf by Night. You have Blade. You've got the Midnight Suns. You've got Doctor Strange participating and involved, and of course being essentially like, the person that puts together the initial Midnight Suns. Like the quasi-leader almost, And it's interesting, you know, it really is. I think that as we have discussions about the potential of like a Thunderbolts film, right? Like how big it could be. What's the potential of like the Midnight Suns? Because honestly, if you're a Marvel comic book fan, a Marvel Comics fan, and you read any of the Midnight Suns stuff, you have to love it. And you have to like love the idea of it like actually happening in the MCU. You have to. Because like, I mean, come on now. As a fan, who doesn't want to see a team up with Ghost Rider, the Punisher, you know, Blade, Morbius.
Morbius, yeah.
You know?
The Montees.
Justin, you're muted.
So, sorry. They have the video game coming out, I think later this year. I think it's September is when the Midnight Suns video game comes out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
He's putting it out.
Yeah, and it'll probably be awesome too. I wonder what that lineup will be like.
I think I just jizzed a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think the roster was Wolverine, War Machine.
What?
Blade, Ghost Rider.
What the hell does War Machine have to do with the Midnight Suns?
I don't know. Nothing.
They might as well put Miss Marvel in it.
Yeah, hopefully they don't put Miss Marvel in it.
They'd really do.
Well,
War Machine, really?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I don't see the connection. I really don't. Honestly, War Machine has nothing to do with like the Midnight Suns at all. But okay, so as far as Phase 5 goes, you know, what we know so far, as the article already highlighted, would be, of course, that we know that we're going to get a Thunderbolts film, and we know we're going to get the Fantastic Four. We know we're going to get Nova, right, at some point, in some form, in some kind of either film or in somebody else's film or in a Disney Plus series. They're going to be doing some kind of Nova origin story. Of course, you know, we don't know for sure when we're going to get the X-Men. When is Marvel going to introduce the mutants? Now,
hopefully they introduce Wolverine in Miss Marvel.
Well, I'll go with you, Justin, right off the bat. I'll go to start off with the panel here. First question: do we get the mutants in Phase 5? Is that how it's going to play out? Like, is that how? Are we finally going to actually get the mutants in Phase 5? Do you think?
I hope we get them now.
I think we're going to get more now. I think we're going to be seeing some with Black Panther. I think we might see some with Ant-Man and the multiverse. I forget.
Quadrimania.
Yes, thank you. I think we'll see. I think we'll see Storm with Black Panther or something like that.
But there is no Black Panther though anymore. Like, I mean, who is Black Panther?
The sister.
Siri, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
Shuri.
They've sent out artwork that shows her in the Panther costume. Now, is it fan made? I don't know, but it seemed really legit. It was very well done. If not,
Yo, I'll tell you what would be legit. Yo, if I tried to challenge Shuri for the kingship of fucking Wakanda, I would beat her ass. You know what I'm saying? So how effective she would be as Black Panther, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. But anyways, no. Going over to you, Cyber. Phase 5. Do we get the mutants in Phase 5? Do we finally get some legit introductions of mutants, or do we at least finally get some kind of like explanation for mutants?
I think so. I think we'll definitely be getting that. And just like everyone else says, I think we're having a slow push in through the rest of Phase 4 into Phase 5. That then they'll bust out, you know, the mutants here and there, right there, and we'll get tons of it again, because I think because of how badly 20th Century Fox kind of did with some of the X-Men films, you know, people didn't care for them and stuff like that. And, you know, with that, I think that's what Marvel's doing differently, is that they're slowly processing it in so that people can get their bad taste out of their mouth of whatever they didn't like and get that, and then be ready to do it again. Because I mean, with Doctor Strange, they did that. They gave us Xavier again. So
right.
That was kind of your first kind of tidbit. I mean, in WandaVision, we get glimpses of them saying that Wanda was a mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Magneto's daughter. Hello. So it's a slow process, but I feel like we've already gotten it. It's just by Phase 5, I feel like straight out it'll be mutants nonstop.
Okay.
Hopefully not nonstop.
No. Joe, what do you think? Mutants in Phase 5?
I absolutely with Wanda being. I mean, I really think they'll all slide in. I think the professor from Doctor Strange was a good taste to the Disney Plus cartoon series where they're finishing the Uncanny X-Men. I think that was a nice little teaser for that. I think we'll get because I think even in it was Captain. Bucky and oh God, what was the name?
Winter Soldier.
Thank you. They went to that island that was like a mutant island. So I think there's hidden little the mutant city that they went to where all the bad people were. There's hidden little teasers to lay into it, and I think we will get a good chunk of mutants in Phase 4 before we hit Phase 5. Of course, I think they'll really open the door in Phase 5, but I think we will see several mutants jumping around in Phase 4 before we hit 5.
Okay. Now, going back to you, Justin, what are your thoughts on the Fantastic Four film overall? I mean, what are just in general, I mean, what are your thoughts on, obviously we don't know shit about it at this point. We really don't. There's really been no official information that they've given us so far in pre-production at all. Other than the fact that it exists and it is going to happen at some point in Phase 5. We don't even know when. So, what do you think? I mean, what do you think about the impact of the Fantastic Four film? What are your thoughts on its potential? And how well you think Marvel Studios will end up doing with that franchise?
They're going to have to take this very, very seriously. I mean, Reed Richards is such a huge part of Marvel. He's such a cornerstone character. They would have a lot of trouble explaining. I mean, a ton. If they didn't have, if they had to abandon it like all the rest of them, all the rest of these Fantastic Four movies that we've seen in the past. But I'm really, really hopeful. The way Reed Richards pops in the multiverse of madness was skillfully done. It wasn't ridiculous. It wasn't, too cartoony. They handled CG really, really well. I was really impressed. So I'm very, very hopeful. But if they don't take the Fantastic Four almost the most seriously out of these new slew of films, it's going to be it's going to put a big hurt on what the MCU can do going forward.
I think we'll get a little taste of Fantastic Four and QuantumVision. I think we'll get
Quantumania.
Quantumania.
Yeah.
As WandaVision.
No, go ahead, Joe. You go ahead. Jump on next. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on Fantastic Four?
I think we'll get a taste of some Fantastic Four with the Ant-Man and Wasp and Quantumania. I think Justin's 100% for if they don't handle Fantastic Four correctly, because that should be heading into the next baddie. I mean, in all essence, we should be, we got Kane that's coming and all this crazy shit, but in essence, we should be getting ready for Galactus. and we should be seeing some Silver Surfer. We should be seeing some of that starting to either a seed of it, a taste of it, some kind of little Easter egg. But I do think that if they don't handle Fantastic Four right, it could really crumble some of the future films or Disney Plus shows or whatnot. But they have to handle that right.
Well, I really want to see where Joe's going to be taking things overall by the end of the show, because I mean he keeps using words like climax and fucking all these like sexual terms and shit during his contributions and whatnot.
I got off 3 times in the show. You never knew. I had 3.
All right, Cybernicshark, sir, you need to take off?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right, brother. Well, you know what? We love you very much, brother. You're always appreciated and whatnot. And I will talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
See you, Cyber.
See you, man.
Later, guys.
Later.
All right. Well, I don't like that. Let me change that. There we go. That's better. I like that more. So, also, of course, as a part of Phase 5, we could potentially actually be seeing some of this type of activity.
I just shit like... I'm recording her. Hey, yo, how long? My child. This is not my child. No, it's not.
Are you going to help me?
Yeah, you got to give me change.
I don't have change.
What happened to you?
Are you going to help me?
What happened to you?
I don't know what happened to me. They said I got raped.
What?
Can you help me, please? They said I got raped. They said I got raped. Can you help me, please?
Oh, my God. This is so what? This is good footage right here. Hey, yo, come on. I'm gonna help you right now. Come on.
Where are you going to help me?
I'm about to go get change for you.
Okay,
Hey, miss, you got change for a 20? You got change for a 20?
They said I got raped. I don't know what's going on.
I'm about to help you right now. Relax, yo.
Oh my God, that shit is hilarious, dude. I mean, you got some chick walking around, hailing down cars with a fucking baby like sticking out of her underwear, talking about she got raped. This dude's reaction is to ask her if she got changed for 20.
Barbie didn't see that shit coming.
Like, seriously, man. I'm sorry, but I mean, that is fucking awesome, dude. I mean, seriously. Like, I mean, some other guys would be concerned when a woman says she's just been raped and whatnot, everything and shit and all that. But this dude was like, you know what? You got to change for 20? Of course, Justin and I have already discussed how much game this guy obviously has. You know what I mean? The fact that, throughout, like, all the intense drama and seriousness obviously going on with this chick with the baby leg, he's still trying to hit that shit anyways. You know what I mean? Like, that's some game right there, man. You know what I mean? That's dedication. I mean, hey, you gotta be really dedicated and shit to still try to hit some shit that's got a baby leg coming out of its underwear. I personally would be concerned if I met a chick and she had a baby leg coming out of her fucking underwear. I would be concerned. I would not really understand or grasp logically what was going down exactly. Maybe that's her mutant power, is to generate a baby leg out of her vagina.
It's like that one character on The Boys. His power was his dick, and that dick, it came out of the door. It was like and smacking him in the face.
Well, all I know is that honestly, that may be one of my most favorite classic video clips of all time on the Bleeding Edge. I love it, man. I'm sorry, but that bitch with the fucking baby leg, man. Yo, that is some dope shit. That is almost as legit as the video clip I showed Justin the other night of the chick that turns into Stevie Wonder. That's white.
Oh my God.
I gotta say it. Then I gotta roll too.
Joe, you gotta roll, man. Oh, you know what? That's awesome, dude. Joe, we'll let you go, man, and then me and Justin can close the show out and shit together, like as a couple and shit. It'll be cool.
Hey,
it'll be like an inclusivity, diversity, equality moment and shit. Some Disney Plus shit. We'll pretend. Well,
Fuck yeah, dude. Hey guys, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited, man. Yeah, hit me up, dude. I might try to jump on some more if you guys have me.
Oh, come on now. Hey, you know what? The bleeding edge is addicting, man. You'll be back.
Guys, have a good one, man. I'll talk to you guys soon. See
All right,
you.
Joe. Thanks,
Nice
man.
meeting you guys. See ya.
Well, geez, Justin, they left us to our own devices, man.
I know.
But I'll tell you what, though. We are at the hour and 49-minute mark. So essentially, I guess, just to kind of wrap things up before we hit the 2-hour mark, so I think that's a sweet spot, you know what I mean, to kind of like try to kill the show. I personally, I've got to really be in the mood and like really have something to work with if I to like go over 2 hours and like rock into a third hour or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens, on some shows when we get the conversation flowing enough, before you know the time just flies by. You know what I mean? Before you know it, you're at the 2-hour, 20-minute mark or whatever, and you just keep on rolling. But I've got to really I've got to have something to work with topic-wise, to really get me going and really get me excited and geared up and whatnot, And honestly, the Phase 5 discussion is an interesting one.
Yes.
And as I already said earlier in the show, we will definitely, I think, be planning, and Justin will probably end up being a part of it, the planning, to tell you the truth, a full-on Phase 5 preview that's actually, like, well done and, well planned out and whatnot. I do some research and whatnot and really make sure that I really understand and I can remember and reconnect with everything we do know about Phase 5 that has been put out by Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige so far. Because I'll be honest with you, a long time has passed since that Comic-Con in San Diego or whatever and whatnot, where Kevin Feige, dropped Blade and the Fantastic Four and all that and whatnot. A lot of time has passed. It has. And
that was like 2019, right?
Yeah. So at that point, honestly, I need to like kind of do some homework, and just kind of do some research and whatnot and just kind of make sure I'm aware again of what we do officially know for sure is going down in Phase 5. And, at the end, honestly, I know that, like, beyond Nova, the Fantastic Four, and the Thunderbolts, there's other characters and stuff, there's other teams, there's other stories from the comics that are going to be going down in Phase 5 that have been rumored already and teased and whatnot already in other shows, other YouTubers, on other media, platforms. We just unfortunately only know so much that's official. And I think that, again, it's interesting timing, Justin, that Marvel Studios was actually willing to even confirm a Thunderbolts film. At this point. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It makes you wonder, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, what was the thinking with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the what were the conversations behind the scenes with Kevin Feige and his team and with Disney and everything and whatnot? That prompted them to feel it was necessary, right, to allow information like that to be put out,
especially with William Hurt's passing.
Yes.
Yes. That you have to have Thunderbolt.
Yeah, you know what? And honestly, it's a no-brainer to me that they should recast that role.
They have to.
Without question. There could not be a more ideal, clean-cut situation to recast a role than this one. Right? It's that simple. There's no reason whatsoever that anybody's going to be hurt, or anybody's going to be insulted, or there's going to be any problem or any issue with the fandom or anything like that, or it's going to create any controversy if they just simply get a different actor to play Thunderbolt Ross.
Right.
It makes no sense to literally not have the Red Hulk in the MCU or on the Thunderbolts or leading the Thunderbolts just because William Hurt died.
Right.
Right? honestly.
You can't stop the train just because.
No. Listen. Think about it from a comic book standpoint, right? In the comics, the characters are they endear forever. You know what I mean? Like, they span decades and everything and whatnot. They're there. And at that point, for the to keep the continuity, right, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and actually give us the full potential, right, and and what's possible with that character, Thunderbolt Ross, where he can, the direction that he can go. I don't know which actor they should go with or who they should fill that spot with, but it only makes sense to me that it would just be logical and it would be beneficial for Marvel Studios and the fans if they gave us another Thunderbolt Ross. And it doesn't even have to be well done. You know what I mean? Like, it just has to be done.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they could do a whole lot of CG, instead of casting a huge actor to be Thunderbolt Ross. They could do a Red Hulk movie or couldn't do a Red Hulk show. I don't think the story's too big. And that's where the Thunderbolts comes into play. Is, I mean, who makes up the Thunderbolts roster, right? And then, are there actually going to be new characters that are going to be a part of the Thunderbolts? Where there's actually going to have to be origin stories for the characters, right? And then, what other old characters do we know of from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that may pop up on the team? Is Ghost going to come back to the MCU? They have to.
They
have to bring her back. She was such a cool character. I mean, what a cool villain to have. Even though, like I said, she's like C-list, but she made up a cool part of the Thunderbolts. Baron Zemo.
Could Sharon Carter be a part of the Thunderbolts?
Sharon Carter. I don't know.
I mean, she is the she is now, after the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, the power broker.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'm wondering where her story is going to go, her arc. After the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, and after her being brought back in to the FBI and to the into that whole scene, and given like responsibility and whatnot, and a role and everything and whatnot again, and having been legitimized, how that whole dichotomy is going to play out with her as like a double agent.
Okay.
Some people think she's a Skrull.
I could see that. I'm actually really excited about Secret Invasion. But I would love to see them bring the Daredevil series back so that they could introduce Elektra.
Yeah. Now, if they make the Daredevil Netflix series canon, they'd be reintroducing Elektra almost.
Right. Well, yes. Yeah.
Now, don't forget, I have not finished season 2, so I don't know what happens to that version of Elektra in season 2 yet. She's still kicking and whatnot, and everything. Everything's cool with her at where I'm at in the series, and I've kind of like taken a break, and I've got to go back. I'm right at the point where her and Matt are taking on the Yakuza.
Okay.
So she's got Matt wrapped up into that whole deal. You know what I mean? At that part where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, I think having Elektra, Deadpool, Red Hulk, Punisher. I mean, they have a lot of one of the iterations of Thunderbolts already there. It's just whether or not they pull in the Netflix series as being canon.
which I hope they do. And I also
do too.
Yeah, and I hope that they bring back the entire Daredevil cast too, all of them, all the same actors and actresses.
Well, I mean, they're gonna have to because they had such a cool lineup.
Yeah, and honestly, and I'll tell you right now, folks. We over at the Bleeding Edge at some point down the road are going to sit down and figure out and plan how we are going to integrate those Netflix series into the show. How it's going to play out, I don't know, but it's going to happen. There's no way around it. Eventually, Cyber and I are going to stop being lazy fucks, and we're going to watch all of the freaking Netflix series all the way through and whatnot, and finally get caught up. Even if and you know what, we may even be like doing it while making content at the same time. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, I don't know if I'm willing to invest the effort and the time and whatnot to actually do episode by episode reviews of all those shows. Because that would be like legitimately, like we'd be talking about years and years of content to make.
Yeah.
It would be to do that.
It would have to be a survey.
Yes.
Everyone's already watched it. Well, most people have watched it at this point.
You've got to, at the end of the day, you've got to be, even in my situation, right? Where I'm not as busy as Justin and whatnot in terms of the fact that I'm semi-retired, essentially, I'm disabled. Even in my situation, I do have to take into consideration and prioritize what I can make an effort on and whatnot from a content standpoint and what I can't. And at the end of the day, you got to be logical too. And realistically, it almost would make no sense at this point to go that far back and actually do episodical reviews of like the Netflix series at this point. You know what I mean? Like at that point, honestly, there's not going to be very many people that are going to be interested in wanting to watch that shit. I don't blame them. It almost would be something you would only do as a fan, right? That would be your only motivation in doing it. It would be pure as a fan for fun, type deal. At that point, what we'll end up probably doing will be probably like season reviews of some kind of something like that, where we do like whole shows.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, where we break down and do like whole season reviews, As far as Daredevil goes, Justin, I never told you this before and whatnot, but I love Daredevil. I do. The Frank Miller Daredevil run.
Oh yeah,
was a big part of my comic book reading years. Luckily, right? For me, and the direction he took that character, the universe he built for him, in terms of the secondary characters that then became a part of his show, the comic book, the people he would team up with, the villains. You had such interesting shit going on, there was supernatural shit. There was like voodoo shit going on. There was like, dark magic. You know what I mean? Like going on, like everything. Like anything you could think of. Like every freaking dark, like, mysterious, mystical, horrific, aspect possible was interjected into that comic book at that point, almost to some extent. And the Hand, organizations like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Characters like Typhoid Mary, who, you tell me, I haven't seen it so far, but did they actually flush out Typhoid Mary already in the third season of Daredevil?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
But it's been what, 2 years now since.
Now, that's a character that could be really, really well done, possibly by Marvel Studios. Could really be really interesting if they made her a part of that universe, of the Daredevil universe. And again, it just connects to how well done those Daredevil comics were at that point for me as a reader. And I can tell you right now, as a kid reading that shit, I was blown away at times by like how gritty it was. How gritty Daredevil was at that time. He really, really exemplified Hell's Kitchen. And I always have loved the relationship with him and Spider-Man. You know?
Yeah, some of my favorite books were Daredevil and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Crossovers.
Yeah, it's only common sense. You know what I mean? They share the same space, you know, as superheroes, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're literally a borough away.
That's right. And I just don't know, though, for the life of me, especially after Moon Knight, God, I don't know how the hell they're going to make the Daredevil series work on Disney+. I just don't see how it's going to work. I don't. And as far as everything I'm hearing, that's what they're going to do. That's the plan.
Well, I mean, they're talking to what's her name for Jessica Jones again.
Kristen Ritter.
Thank you. They're talking to her about reprising her role. So
I'd like to talk to her about her reprising that scene with Luke Cage, but with me. You know, that one scene. You know,
the bed.
Yeah, the bedroom scene. Yeah, because she's got some long ass legs, man. And I dig that, bro. I do. I dig that on the woman. I do. I'll put it out there right now. I love the ladies, and those long-legged ones. Hey, they're okay with me, friends. But anyways, folks, as I said earlier, I would give Justin a break and shit and whatnot from the Bleeding Edge and cut things off at 2 hours. Well, we're already past 2 hours, so somewhere we've set a record. But over here at the Bleeding Edge, we, of course, aren't much into plugging. We don't really do much of it and whatnot. Not my thing. Never has been. Don't like it. Don't enjoy doing it. It's fake as fuck and very repetitive and kind of, you know, almost, you know, I don't know. I don't want to beg people to fucking like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm not going to do it. So all I'll say is just that, you know, look, if you're already there, you know, and you like at least some aspect of what we do, you know, it's only common sense. It only takes 2 seconds. Just hit subscribe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit. You know, I'm telling you, even Chloe Zhao could figure that out. You know?
Poor Chloe.
That's right. You know, I'm telling you. But anyways, folks, listen. For Cyberneticshark, for Joe, for Nate the Great, for Justin, and for myself, I just want to say shout out and spread love and God bless the fandom. God bless everybody else. And we will see you, of course, on Friday evening. Peace.
Và như vậy thì
Yeah, look, tell me what's the vibes, what's the mood? Yeah, I just hit up Mikey for the juice. Yeah, ain't no capping, I'ma tell the truth. I've been winning for so long, it's hard to lose.